what's your thoughts this week on Forex? Because we are clearly seeing a lot of risk-off trading in the stock market, and you can see this translating nicely into pure risk-off trading in Forex. So here's your Swiss franc and the Japanese yen, very strong today. We've had some decent recoveries off the lows from the CAD, decent dips from the highs, but we're retesting those highs and lows on the yen, the Swiss. I told traders this early in my session today in the Pulver report. I'm like, look, I'm looking for JPY strength, look for bear flags. I'm looking for Swiss franc, bear flags. I'm looking for dollar. Dollar's actually surprisingly baseline today after pushing hard last week. I think it's going to be a pretty aggressive play against risk on pairs. So I want to see your thoughts. Do you like Aussie yen short? Do you like CAD yen short? Do you like New Zealand yen short? Are you looking to follow those longer? Do you have another pair that's kind of on the peripheral that I'm not mentioning right now that you really like? So I want to get into some Forex here for just a few minutes.
Yeah, some of my favorite trades are, I like the New Zealand yen and the New Zealand Swiss short.
Okay.
Or, again, I don't know how long the push down is going to last,
Yep.
but these are some of my favorite plays. The New Zealand yen, I'd be looking for at least a few day push, probably towards that 75, 74 level. If we break there, then we can absolutely go down to the levels that you've got
Yep.
marked there.
Yep.
It's going to be difficult for us to break through. I think that 75 level, Chris, is going to provide that's going to be a battle to bust through there. So, but I would, if I'm in a position, one of my bigger trades right now is New Zealand Swiss, and it looks very similar to the New Zealand yen.
Yep.
And if I'm in a position, I'm going to stay in it. But I'm not going to think we can push much lower than this, much lower than that level right there.
Yep.
That's about where I would be looking to get out and say, okay, we're done. Could we go lower than that? Absolutely, we could. But I think if you're thinking we're going to get lower than that, yeah. And I don't know how quick it's going to happen either. So we flush down, we kind of rally back up, flush down. So I'll probably lock in profits at about 64, lock in some of profits, and then I'll look for an ultimate move to 63, Chris.
Okay.
Is what I'm going to do on the New Zealand Swiss.
Nice. And it's right back here, right? It's using the same structure, past resistance, became support, really aggressive bounce. I could see us fading back down. I want to say this. I mean, after all this settles, Tyson, the correlation between stocks and Forex, we know there's risk on, risk off. You know, in the stock market, we might see this beautiful little gap from today. The market flushes down aggressively, finds those, trending or those automated trend lines I'm talking about, finds that 7, 10, 12% correction I'm talking about. And from there, we put in, maybe right away, like we have one full week of trading for September. We close out the month next week, and then it's time for October. Now, if October's a recovery month and we kick into, it's crazy how fast the year's gone, and it's even crazier how fast maybe Q4 will go by. If the market's mindset is everything's fine, we're going to get through it, accommodative monetary policy, Fed's not going to disrupt the markets, geopolitically we'll tolerate things, whatever. Q4 rallies are not out of the question, and historically speaking, December's been the most bullish month ever in the history of the S&P 500. But it all kind of starts getting that way by end of October. November is all of a sudden just kind of coined as holiday trading, and that holiday drift and Santa Claus rally pretty much take us through most of Q4. So unless we just completely, crap the bed for the rest of the year, I think this market is anxious to buy at really exciting levels. And so, it's really cool that you're talking about New Zealand Swiss, New Zealand yen coming down to revisit these levels, because part of me thinks this. I think we could have just a lot of volatility. I think that this can make its way back down, find these lows. But I think if we have a risk-on rally coming back in the stock market, this goes right back up to where we started.
I agree.
And so we have this high and we have this support, which is past resistance, and we revisit this. So, I like selling right now with bear flags. I think that's probably the play this week, as the stock market might continue to show red and pain. But once we get down to these nice levels, I am very interested in, again, this is kind of how I trade on some of my positions, is I look to kind of invest in some of these currencies. So I'd be willing to invest from like 6,300 down to say 6,000 and plan on building a position back up towards 6,750. So I would do the same thing on New Zealand Swiss and New Zealand yen. I do it on Aussie Swiss, Aussie yen as well. And so that's what I will definitely be talking about that this week in my Flex trading room. Levels I'm interested in. Right now I'd say don't fight this flow. Don't start buying into this, crazy risk-off trading, because it might be costly. It might be painful. So just be patient. But if you're interested in buying, buy at great levels. If you're interested in selling, that's probably the direction we want to focus on this week. and have a stop loss, have a plan, have a, put a trending system on there, go for smaller time frames and go after these little jabs. Just like we've done in stocks, we're taking these little pokes and little jabs in the market. And right now, if that flush is risk off, let's take jabs of those risk off trades. So are those your favorites, Tyson? You got Aussies?
Yeah, those are my favorites. And I agree with you on the buy side down in those levels.
Yeah.
Not here. I'm going to look to take some shots on the downside. Once we get down, like New Zealand Swiss, once we get down to that 63 level, I'll be done selling. And I'll probably be much like what you just said. I'll probably look to flip it around and start buying.
Yeah, I like this pocket right here too. Right there at the middle. Beautiful spot of demand, right?
I agree.
Demand pocket, good stuff. Okay, awesome. I'm going to take a look at the Aussie New Zealand, which is at 103.09. All I'm going to tell traders is this. If we break this trend line, okay, it's right here. I'm just looking for a pretty clean trend line break to go from inner to outer trend line. All right, now, could it come down lower than that? Sure. I'm not discounting the fact that we might go a little bit lower, but we are kind of stuck between some major patterns. We have this high that was taken out over here. And so one could argue that we have this really nice bull crown. But then we could also argue that we have this left tip, this center tip. We have a bear crown right here that is now right tip is formed and did sell off. And we have head and shoulders. We have all sorts of patterns that have been pushing this trend recently to the downside. All I'm saying is this. If we're stuck between this pattern that suggests a bullish move, so right here, if this is suggesting a bullish move, okay, and this is suggesting a bearish move, guess what? I think that none of this is necessarily disrupted. I think that we could fall into this level, break the right side of this trend line, and then make our way back up to this outer trend line, possibly even, Tyson, make our way back up to this high at 110. And so I think, again, for me, it's at 103. I'm closer to 100, 1.00. I'm closer there now than I am if I'm trying to sell it up here in the middle. So in my opinion, I'm looking for some clean, bullish confirmation to start buying Aussie New Zealand and take it back into this past support resistance around 106.50, 107. I'm also interested to see, like, maybe this gravitates back up towards 109, 110. I don't know. I mean, if it's a clean trend line break, it's going to be something I talk about with traders, looking for bullishness, looking for opportunities to buy low, look for confirmation, and then trade it back up to, past resistance and support, nice little pockets. And, you and I have talked about this fair market value on this one. 107 to 108 seems to be this really consistent range on the Aussie and New Zealand. So just food for thought on that one.
Great. And I was actually talking about this in my money flow session today too, where in this environment, here's kind of two currency pairs that you could kind of look at. Aussie New Zealand's the best of them. But it's correlated currency pairs. Like, hey, are we going to sell off? Are we going to rally? What's going to happen?
Right.
Well, you trade the technicals, you buy low, you sell high on a currency like this. Then another one that you could, two others that you could look at is something like the Aussie CAD or even the Swiss yen. Swiss yen's not but even something like the Swiss yen. But those are correlated currency pairs that where if the market falls, you can still make money. If the market rallies, you can still make money. But I like playing those. So Aussie New Zealand, Aussie CAD, New Zealand CAD, Swiss yen, different currencies like that will keep you out of like major pain.
Major volatility is avoided for the most part.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
So I like it.
Very cool. Hey, let me get your thoughts really quick on the Swiss yen because I talked about this morning. I have been pretty patient waiting for this one. We made some pretty good profits on this one earlier in the year in the Flex trading room. Now that we've officially broken this level, what I would love to see here, Tyson, is I think we're coming down to 116, but here's what I'd like to see. I'd like the opportunity to sell this again at this high or this high.
Yes.
If we get a pullback, I'm looking to sell this at 120 or 121 or 122 and then take this down towards this 116 area. Man, I really hope we can get this trade because I think on the right side of the trend line, potentially a double top at the back side of the trend line, Tyson, this could be a monster trade. And again, for something like Swiss yen, correlated pairs, it's a nice way to eliminate a lot of that volatility you get on those JPY pairs sometime. And man, I would love to have this trade. So my hope is this.
Be 1,000 pips. I think 110 could be in the cards.
Absolutely. Yep. We talked about that. Yep. So 120 down to 110 is not out of the ordinary. And if we have this, especially a double top, if we have a double top and we measure that move high to low, and then we break out, we match that brings us back into like 113. That trajectory alone of that, kind of that acceleration could easily bring us into a nice round number like 110. So anyway, if it comes together, that's a great trade. I'm happy you're talking about those kind of correlated pairs because I tend to trade those a lot. Tyson, we got to go. Great session. Everyone, if you would do us a quick favor, hit that like button for us. Thanks for being here. Spread the word. Spread this link. That's all I have. Final words, Tyson. You're good.
Good to go.
All
Thanks,
right.
everyone.
See you next week, everybody. Appreciate the patronage. Come back next week on Monday, and we'll be back. Talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye.